Diablo 4 can be a dark, somber expedition filled with desolate environments and unimaginable terrors. While co-op is one way to sprinkle a bit of camaraderie on your hellish RPG sundae, there are ample opportunities for solo druid players to share the experience with their furry and feathery friends. If you're intrigued by the idea of communing with wildlife to unleash devastating destruction to hordes of nightmarish abominations, here's how to construct a confidently competent endgame druid companion build in Diablo 4. Companion builds in Diablo have been infamously challenging to execute, especially when compared to the staggering damage output of their magic or AoE-driven counterparts. Meta purists have even gone as far as saying that companions aren't viable for high-level endgame play. As someone with a soft spot for buddy builds, I took that as a personal challenge in Diablo 4. Thankfully, the current balance tuning in this action RPG supports and encourages druids to call upon bestial allies. This druid companion build unifies a curated collection of active and passive skills, legendary equipment, and class-specific spirit boons to help you maximize your summons while maintaining decent survivability. The primary skills utilized here are Maul, Pulverize, Wolves, Ravens, Poison Creeper, and Petrify. Carefully stacking debuffs and damage over time status ailments ensures your companions dish out sufficient injury, and your grisly primary and secondary attacks supply ample hard crowd control effects. Choosing between werewolf and werebear abilities with the druid ultimately comes down to high single target damage versus considerable AoE crowd control damage. For our druid companion build, I opted to embrace the disruptive force of the werebear's Maul and Pulverize skills. With Maul as our basic attack, I selected the modifiers Enhanced Maul, which grants 2% of your base life as Fortify with each hit, and Wild Maul, which gives a 20% chance to knock down enemies for 1.5 seconds. Despite its recent nerf, Pulverize is still one of the strongest skills in the Druid's kit. This concussive AoE blast sees the werebear slam the ground, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Our favorite modifiers for Pulverize are Enhanced Pulverize, which supplies Overpower to the skill every 12 seconds, and Raging Pulverize, which stuns overpowered enemies for 2 seconds. The knockdown of Maul and stun from Pulverize are excellent tools to prevent opponents from fighting back. Now we're on to the most crucial component of our companion build, the companions. Wolves, Ravens, and Poison Creeper all possess distinctive functions that coalesce into a viciously capable assault. Using the Wolves skill summons 2 wolf companions that continuously bite enemies, and activating the secondary skill directs your wolves to leap onto a single target, dealing massive damage. Regarding modifiers, I chose Enhanced Wolfpack, which allows wolves to deal 20% increased damage to immobilized, stunned, slowed, or poisoned enemies, and Brutal Wolfpack, which triggers a 20% attack speed increase for wolves for 3 seconds with critical strikes. Poison Creeper summons a squirming vine monster that emerges from the ground to deal poisoning damage every 7 seconds. Its active ability strangles all surrounding enemies, immobilizing them for 3 seconds and supplying tremendous poison damage over time. Our companion build employs the Enhanced Poison Creeper modifier, which increases the immobilized duration by 1 second, and Ferocious Poison Creeper, which extends the active poisoning duration by 3 seconds. While the passive Ravens don't deal substantial damage, the active ability and its associated modifiers are arguably the most important component of this build. Pressing the Raven's skill button will unleash a swarm of Ravens dealing damage over 6 seconds. Enhanced Ravens increases critical strike chance against enemies hit by Ravens by 5%, and Ferocious Ravens applies the vulnerable debuff to enemies caught within the swarm when it activates. Foes impacted by vulnerable take 20% more damage. The ultimate ability best suited for this companion build is Petrify, which encases all nearby enemies in stone, stunning them for 5 seconds. This also boosts critical strike damage to petrified opponents. The modifier's Prime Petrify will increase Petrify's duration by 1 second, and Supreme Petrify grants 25 spirit for killing enemies affected by the Petrify status ailment. A well-timed ultimate, in collaboration with your companion skills, will discharge waves of decimation. The proper arsenal of active skills is only one ingredient of a successful druid companion build. To witness the full potential of your animal allies, you'll also need to consider specific spirit boons and legendary aspects. Spirit boons are an array of druid passive buffs that can be equipped after completing your class-specific questline upon reaching level 15. Once you've unlocked spirit boons and provided the spirit offering sufficient to level up each spirit, there are a handful of boons essential to this build: Scythe Talons, Pack Leader, and Calamity. Scythe Talons increase your critical strike chance by 5%, Pack Leader enables a 20% chance for companion skill cooldowns to reset with critical strikes, and Calamity extends the duration of ultimate skills by 25%. This curated selection of spirit boons can dramatically augment the odds of continuously using your companion's active abilities, which will be critical to maintaining high damage output. However, the prospects of this companion build can be further heightened with the appropriate gear. Unlike skill choices and spirit boons, obtaining and equipping the best items for your build is ultimately up to the RNG gods. Because of the randomized nature of Diablo 4, I won't fixate too heavily on gear in this video. Still, there are valuable legendary aspects worth tracking down. In my playthrough, I discovered the Circle of the Stampede ring, which not only increases your total number of companions, but also increases companion damage by 15%. When focusing on companion skills, these boosts are priceless. The Smiting Choker Amulet delivered an additional legendary aspect that increased critical strike chance against injured enemies and extended the duration of my crowd control skills. The primary objective with this combination of skills, spirit boons, and legendary aspects is to stack status ailments, crowd control effects, and damage over time. The higher your critical strike chance, the more opportunities you'll be granted to call upon your companions to rack up ceaseless damage. The road to success with this companion build can be lengthy and sometimes bumpy because of the reliance on specific pieces of equipment and legendary items. But for those willing to stay the course, you'll be rewarded with an unstoppable animal army. And that does it for our monstrous Druid companion build in Diablo 4. For more handy Diablo 4 tips, be sure to check out our growing collection of guides. And for everything else gaming, keep it here on IGN.